Welcome to Conversations in the Coop. I'm your host, Trinity Director of Athletics, Drew Galbraith. On today's conversation, we have a great opportunity to talk to a member of Trinity's squash team, Nassar, and it's finally squash season. So we play some matches in the fall every year at Trinity, and those always seem to be a build-up to the Ivy schedule of matches that we play in the winter. So as you and the team have come back, just tell me what the vibe is on the third floor of Ferris right now. How's the team feel about this exciting second half of the year?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm really excited for this. Thanks for this opportunity. Third floor is feeling like really great vibes, honestly. The elevator is fixed, so now we don't have to take the stairs too. But yeah, everyone is really engaged. Everyone is feeling like that we just have to push all the way through. We've been through a lot last year and this year too. We're hungry as ever to come back from that loss in the finals last year. It was pretty tough, but this is how we learn. We've learned a lot, and everyone on the team was excited coming in this year again for another shot at the national championships.
And that's really where it kind of starts and stops every year, right? The aspiration is winning a national championship. Talk about what it's like. It's a unique experience to have a men's team that strives for a national championship every year and a women's team that strives for a national championship. And both teams have those aspirations again this year. What's that like for you as an athlete, knowing that everybody who's a squash athlete on the third floor has a singular goal?
It builds like a really great environment where you go to the courts and you know like you gotta push because like your teammate in the court next to you is pushing and trying his best to like be the best player he can be as well. It's really like this environment really helps you to push through. It creates that like vibe of just like you're competing to be one of the best among just other people that are trying to be the best as well. So it just pushes you every day. It can be a little competitive between us and the women's team as well. Where I remember last year, we can like throw a couple of comments if someone drops a game or like drops like if we like someone does a better performance than the other team. But it all just like pours into that competitiveness or like constructive competitiveness where we just push each other to become better every day.
And so this environment at Trinity is pretty unique. And for someone who grew up playing a game of squash, it's an individual sport. So a select few come to the U.S., play in college at a really high level, and then theoretically go back to playing an individual sport. You know, once in a while at World Championship, there may be a team event at World Championships, but it's an individual sport. So how do you kind of reconcile that, the individualness until you get here, and then these 4 years of team sport?
It's a pretty unique journey and a pretty unique experience. I feel lucky to be a part of it. It's definitely tough. It was even like it was really tough. At least maybe more tough for like my class where we didn't really have a freshman year, so we didn't really know how this like team, but still individual thing works. But coming here sophomore year, I might have struggled a little bit, or like all of us did. But then like you just see everyone from different places and different backgrounds pushing through like the same goal, and then you feel that like team like that team spirit. And here at Trinity, it's pretty special, honestly, and it's safe to say that it's really different than anywhere else in college squash, where it's more like a family than just a team that you share like practice with.
So talk about growing up in Egypt, in New Cairo. Played some squash growing up, played a few other sports, and then what was that moment where you said, I'm going to start taking squash a little more seriously?
Okay, so it was actually pretty random. Like it was not like it's not like something my family was doing or anything. But yeah, of course, squash is big in Egypt. It's like a lot of people play squash back home. But yeah, it was just like that. My dad was just playing like friendly games. He used to just go to the course with his friends, and I just like joined him one day, and I just like went in between games and picked up a racket and just like started like trying to like not, obviously not hitting shots, but just trying to make it to the front wall, and and then the coach was like, you know what, maybe like he talked to my dad and he was like, maybe he should like just play it, and at that time I was doing swimming as well. I was 5 years old. I was doing swimming, and then I started doing squash. But then it kind of like just dragged me into. I fell in love with squash, and yeah, I've been doing it for like 16 years now, and now we're here.
So in those early days, as you're playing in Egypt, um, obviously I'm sure there's other kids around your age at the local club, or maybe you're playing some kids from other clubs. But at what point did start transitioning into, I'm going to take this a little more seriously? I'm maybe competing with people in the city and the region, and it's bigger than just something that you would do down at the local club.
Well, yeah, how it started was like, or let me just say this in a different way. So like my dad just tried to make it as fun as possible at the beginning, but at early stages, at a young age. Just because like other people sometimes like, just get bored or like can't handle the pressure. So I was having fun with it till like early under 13s or 15s, and then I started taking it a little competitively. And my dad had like my parents and my entire family actually had a huge part of it, where they're like they show like the potential, and the coaches too. They like saw some potential in me, and this is where I was like, okay, let's actually start taking this seriously. And it was definitely tough because it was nothing I was like ready for. I was just like having fun with. I was just going to the course and having fun, and now I got like adjust my entire like lifestyle around this sport. So it was really tough, and but it didn't really get easier, but. I feel like you just get better at it, and you just become more hungry, and the more you achieve, the more you find the fun in it as well.
Do you remember a match or two, or maybe a tournament you played in, where the light bulb clicked and you really started saying, "Boy, I really might have something here"?
I remember my first quarterfinals. I always lost like early rounds, and then I go to the regional tournament, and I make it to the quarterfinals, and it was a tough match. I'd say like yeah, like no one really expected me to win, and I didn't even expect me to win honestly. But it kind of like took some pressure off, and I played a great match, and the match was over before I even noticed. Like I finished the match, like I won the last point, and then I was going and playing the serve again, and the coaches were like, "The match is over." And yeah, it was just like I got too carried away in it, and I figured out like how fun this is, and this was my first like actual like official achievement, and yeah, I took it from there.
So in your home country of Egypt, obviously soccer, football is huge, and squash is really known as one of that handful of national sports there. So as you're having success in a sport like that in Egypt, what is that for you as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old? What is that like for you? Can you draw any comparisons to what it's like for young people growing up in the U.S.?
Well, I would say like parents have a lot to do with this because they just push you from a really young age. Uh, I've been to like many like squash events here, and I feel like I'm not criticizing it, or like I'm not really I don't have any saying on this, but it's just like a little. It's just a different vibe, and you still like find a lot of good U.S. players as well. But it's just that maybe the number of people playing at each club also like have a lot of impact on that, because you just go there, and if you want to be the best like at least like at your club and at your age, you really have to like fight and have to push through a lot of other players as well.
You've mentioned your parents a lot in kind of helping you through this. Were there things that either of your parents kind of said to you about helping you become a competitor, helping you? Do you remember some of those moments where
Yeah.
you knew that either they had your back or they were challenging you that if we're going to do this, you've got to commit?
Yeah. Um, yeah. First of all, let me say that my parents definitely had like a huge impact, and I would never I've never been here or like achieved anything I've done already without them. But yeah, there were times where like I was thinking about like really quitting the sport, because sometimes that I know like I'm talking about how fun it is and all that, and how much I enjoy playing squash, but sometimes it gets really tough, especially as an individual sport. It gets lonely sometimes, and you just like you sometimes you just lose motivation and inspiration. Um, So I remember a lot of times it was like just my dad pushing me to go to practice, even though I didn't want to. I remember like my grandma used to just tell him to go easy on me and like just let him do whatever he wants. But if it wasn't for him at this time, I'm pretty sure I was not gonna be the person who I am today.
Was there a point in that relationship where your dad kind of said, "This is kind of why I pushed you"?
Definitely. Yeah, to rub it in my face a little. Because these times are a lot. Like these were like a lot of nights where we had like fights that we look back at now, and just embrace it because it was a part of it, and it was. I remember a lot of times where like he used to like hide my rackets sometimes just to make me like more hungry and just to know and just to find that like click and that motivation. But it was definitely a huge part of it.
So just talk about German Open 2017. It's your first time traveling alone to a tournament, traveling internationally to a tournament, and just talk about what having some success at that tournament meant towards, and the boost it gave you in your trajectory as a player, and in your maturity.
It definitely had a lot to do with that, like that boost and that maturity as well. Because traveling alone, I like learned like a couple of more like skills. Like learned to rely on myself when it comes to like scheduling, what I'm gonna eat and where I'm gonna go, and the stuff I get like how I need to be ready for all the games and matches. It also like it kind of like taught me how to deal with some like out of court pressure because when you travel like that, I don't come from the like a really rich family, so like my dad was paying for the flight and the hotel and everything. So there was that part in the back of my mind where I was like, I can't, like I need to do my best here. And But he made sure that was not a part of it. He made sure that this didn't apply any pressure on me. But this, I think I achieved the third place in this tournament. It meant a lot because like it was a huge boost for my confidence as well. And so I think I needed this. And then now that my brother is playing those like junior tournaments still, we're trying to make him do the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So so following that tournament, when did college in the U.S. Trinity kind of come into the equation? How did that come into the equation?
It was, to be honest, it was never part of the equation. It all happened suddenly and a little randomly. Um, it was a Trinity alum, Ziad Sar, who was a part of the squash team. I know he's a legend here. I was during high school. It was junior year of high school, and I never thought about coming to the States for college. Neither of my parents did. It was never like an option. It was never on the table. And then it was that random day. Ziad didn't have a ride, so it was just like took him on the way, and he talked to my dad about like the college in the States, and how like great Trinity is as a school and also as a squash program, and I was really surprised when I found my dad like pushing me through pushing this like idea of coming to the States, and then it all like happened really quickly. Reached out or like got in contact with Coach Paul. He was super nice as usual, and he made sure like everything goes smoothly as well, and it all happened.
So had obviously you knew Ziad, who is a legend, and was just not only a great player, but just so positive about his Trinity experience and what it meant for him. But did you know of people like Coach Amada, who was the first Egyptian to come play at Trinity back, about 10 years prior? Did you know about any of those stories, or did you just kind of learn them as you went through the process?
I hope he doesn't get mad at me for this answer, but I didn't really know him, at least personally, and I didn't even know he was here at this college and even like in the States. So it was great like meeting all these people, and especially at homecoming too, we met a lot of other Trinity legends. But it all happened suddenly. I might have just a quick story of how I got here too, because this is actually a funny one. So me and Sharaf, back then we were playing the U.S. Junior Open, and we were like in the hotel. We were just rooming together, and back then I didn't really know him personally, but I only knew he was coming to Trinity or like thinking about it. So we're sitting in that room with a lot of other friends and people, and then we both get that email notification that. And we just look at each other, and we knew exactly what happened at that moment. We knew like we got accepted at Trinity, and just went out and celebrated.
So, knowing, did you start to feel maybe more excited, better about the decision when you start? Oh, there's other really good players from Egypt who are coming, and obviously he had relatives who played here and had a good experience. Did that start to really get you excited about the experience?
It all started like coming in together. I think I was kind of nervous. Sorry about that. I think I was kind of nervous because stuff was happening. It was actually happening, but it was really exciting, and it was a great way of like introducing me to Trinity, and because he obviously had a lot more knowledge and experience about Trinity than I did.
And so, had you come to visit Trinity before you actually got in?
I have not.
So I just have to ask, when you first, when you first come to campus, I hope it met some of your expectations.
Okay. Well, the first thing I did when I came to campus, I went to the courts, and this is a fact. I just dropped my bags in front of the room I was supposed to be in, me and Sharaf, and we just we headed to the courts, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. You see, like all those banners up
Yeah.
there, 17 like national championships, which is not normal. It's just out of this world. It's just legendary. So yeah, let's just put it this way: the Trinity squash courts and the first athletic system really,
Yeah.
athletic center really, they really exceeded my expectations.
And so then you get to Trinity, and your freshman year was admittedly very hard for students, particularly first year students. Maybe expectations are lower because you didn't know anything else, but my memory of that your first fall here was that students were only allowed in the courts at certain times. There were stretches of the fall semester where people weren't supposed to be on the courts together. Everybody's wearing masks all the time. At any point during that fall, did you kind of question it a little bit to say, what am I doing here?
Well, not really, thankfully, because like COVID was something that like affected the entire world, so we all knew that. We all knew we had to abide by the rules and everything. But it was still, I think I was like thankful being here, because it kind of felt that even though everyone needs to be like spaced, like just to be in their own like space, but still like that like family spirit and that team spirit helped a lot as well.
So talk about that team spirit a little bit. So for almost 30 years now, Trinity has really been a kind of a United Nations of the squash world, and brings together people from some years 6 continents. I think last year we had someone from every continent. And as you think about that as a member of this really unique community, like, would you ever imagine that you would have friends from Malaysia and Hungary and all these different countries in South America and Ecuador? Would you ever imagine that when you're sitting in your room as a child in Egypt?
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that one coming. It's a huge like blessing, honestly, to have all those like brothers from different places and different continents. Because last year we did have at least one player from every continent, which was pretty cool. But I never thought I would have this like family anywhere, and I think this is something I'm always going to be thankful for. Just to have this team and this family, not just for the 4 years or 5 years, but for a lifetime.
And so that boy, it's you've got a few team matches left, but then after this, we kind of transition, as we said at the beginning, transition back to individual play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know you want to try and keep playing pro for a little while. And so just give our viewers, our listeners, a little sense of what's that like for a pro squash player. are these are the tournaments on the Pro Tour all around the world? Are they located in certain places? And what does that look like for somebody, say, in their next year for you in your early 20s, making a go of it as a pro in the squash world?
Well, yeah. Hopefully, it all goes well and according to the plan. It looks a little challenging as every other path that anyone decides to take. As you said, it's pretty individual. It can get lonely sometimes. Tournaments are like all over the world, which is also a great opportunity for someone, at least for me, like for someone who loves to travel and meet new people. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of expenses, and with squash, you don't really get the opportunity to make like as much funds as other sports.
Like a tennis, where if you make a Grand Slam, you're guaranteed money.
Exactly. So it's pretty challenging, but it's just one of the things that keeps you moving forward. Is that whether you're up for this challenge or not, and you just keep challenging yourself before even going out there and competing with other people. So going out there, I know it's going to be pretty tough. And I know, but I also know I'm gonna be ready for it because which college squash kind of like really gets you like prepared for, especially with Trinity and all the people in the program. They make sure that you're not just here to play like college squash, but they also make sure you're ready for the next step, whether it's squash or anything like in life.
So I know you're a computer science major, but I'm going to ask you a very kind of inside squash question, which is talk about the intensity of some of the challenge matches you've played against teammates at Trinity, because I'm sure that the intensity of some of those matches outweighs some of the matches you played against other schools.
For sure, because when you're on a team like the Trinity squash team, you're competing to be a national champ. You're basically we're seeded top four, but I don't know about that. But you're basically one of the best teams in the country, and to be one of the best teams in the country, you gotta have the best players. I've had a couple of battles with my teammates that were definitely more tough and challenging than matches that we played throughout the season, which also has that mental toughness and mental challenge into it because you're playing your teammate. So somehow you gotta go at it, but still just like make sure you're like friends afterwards. But it's really great to have that opportunity of like competing with such great players wherever you go.
So we're gonna end on a lighter note. So I want to know what's something in either, it could be food, it could be pop culture. What's something that you can't find in Hartford that you miss from back home, and then what's something that you found here, whether it's a type of food or a show you watch or something that happens here that you almost wish they had back home. So give me one of each.
Okay. That's even tougher question.
Food should be easy. Food should be easy, right?
Okay, so one dish that I miss from back home. Well, this is gonna be a little tough on whoever's watching this, but it's called molokhaya.
What is it?
I know my Egyptian friends are gonna know what it is, but it's gonna be a little tough on the other people. It's basically there's no way I can put it in a way that sounds delicious.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna try my best.
Try it.
It's like green soup.
Okay.
It's
And what's in it? Or what's it made from?
I really don't know. I'm not the greatest cook, but I like to eat it.
Okay.
So this is one dish I definitely miss. You don't really find it a lot.
And what's something you found here that you never had?
I think I'm gonna go with. Well, I kind of knew it from back home, but I really found myself in it here, and it's a TV show. It's called The Office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people know it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad my alarm didn't go off because it's literally The Office that intros on. But it's like a basic like it's an essential part of my being.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, Nassar, thank you so much. We're so excited to see the team play some big matches with Harvard coming up, and then Penn Princeton coming to Trinity in just a few weeks as well. So we wish you and your teammates best of luck all
Thank
season.
you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this conversation with Coop. For all the latest news, scores, and schedules, go to bantamsports.com and follow us on social at Bantam Sports. Until next time.